Hey guys, welcome to another Tamro College guide. For this one, we're actually going over my build. It's going to be on the PTS. It's a Stamina Dragonknight DPS PvE DPS build. It's on the Elsweyr PTS right now, so it's subject to change. We've tested this quite a bit, this build, and I'm pretty confident, unless they change something drastic, this is what I'll be running. Yeah, so I wanted to go over this build with you guys. So this build is, if you're playing the game currently, as far as gear goes, nothing is changing from the current patch to, what is that, 5.0.0 for Elsweyr. So we're going to be running, for gear, we're going to be running, I run one heavy Velodreth, one heavy Velodreth and one medium Velodreth. You can run 7 medium. I like the extra stamina and the extra health you get from running one heavy. So if you look in your passives here, the reason I run one heavy is because when you take a synergy with this Undaunted, with these two Undaunted passives, when you take a synergy, or no, I'm sorry, Undaunted Metal, not Undaunted Command. Undaunted Command's fine. So with Undaunted Metal, it increases your max health, your max stamina, your max magicka by 2% per armor type that you have equipped. So I have a 4% bonus to health, stamina, and magicka. I really like the health and the extra health and the extra stamina. Now I am an orc. So I already get some of those things from being an orc. Like I get the health, I get the 1,000 health, and I get 2,000 stam. I like the extra health. It's nice. If you want to run 7 medium, you can. If you want to run 1 light, heavy, you can. What I do suggest you do though is if you run one heavy, run it on the helmet because you get more armor. Like you see, is 24-25 armor versus the 18-23 you get from the small piece. So you want to run a heavy helm, either helm. If you ever run heavy gear in this game, run heavy helm, pants, or chest because you're gonna get it's a bigger piece of armor. So anyway, yeah, I run one heavy, one medium, both Velodreth, both Divines, and then I run 5 Reliquin. You don't have to run 5 Reliquin. With this rotation, you should hit pretty high DPS. I mean, like if you want to wear Hundings, you can. If you want to wear VO, you can. I wear Reliquin. I wear Reliquin with this build. I will be wearing Reliquin with this build. Reliquin is super strong. Drops in Cloud Rest. You can run normal Cloud Rest and farm this armor. It's really easy to get. You have to have Somerset, obviously, if you want to farm it. It's in Somerset, Cloud Rest. Don't need a perfected version. If you want to run a perfected version, that's great too. It's significantly harder to farm. You have to farm the veteran version. So I run, 5. That's obviously medium. So 5 medium, Reliquin, all Divines. And then we run. So this is important. So we're going to run 3 Deadly Jewelry, right? I run 2 Bloodthirsty, 1 Infused. You can run 3 Infused. You can run 3 Bloodthirsty. The DPS is fairly similar. The difference is, the more Bloodthirsty you run, what happens is the more Bloodthirsty you run and the more Bloodthirsty everyone in your group runs, less effective it is. As far as your numbers, the overall DPS is pretty similar. When you wear Bloodthirsty, you're gonna burst a bunch of your DPS at the end of the parse, whereas when you wear Infused or like 3 Robust or 3 Infused, your DPS would be more stable across the entire parse. So it's kind of it's honestly a flavor thing. I run 2 Bloodthirsty. You can run 3 Bloodthirsty, 1 Bloodthirsty. All weapon damage enchants, obviously, and then for my main hand for this build, I'm gonna run Nirnhoned, 2 daggers, main hand Nirnhoned, poison damage enchant, and then offhand is going to be precise and an absorb stam enchant. You can run disease damage there if you want for the enchant. The reason I run precise, is because we're not obviously not running advancing Oketa, which is meaning we're missing a decent amount of crit, right? So what I figured is I would run precise, that way I can get my crit where it needs to be. But yeah, you can run precise, you can run infused if you want on your offhand. You're gonna have a little less crit. But I run precise, you can run infused. Absorb stamina enchant is really nice. Again, you run infused, you can run disease damage offhand. It's not a huge difference. Although I will tell you, disease damage, while it's buffed by CP, it doesn't. It disease damage gives your target a healing debuff, and in PvE, it's not like the healing debuff doesn't matter typically PvE. But it's buffed by CP, so it's really nice. Yeah, 2 daggers, and then infused Maelstrom bow, weapon damage enchant, infused all the way on this. Because what happens is, if you, while you're in your back bar, if you keep your endless hail up and you go to your front bar, you will 100% uptime that weapon damage enchant. So you get 452 weapon damage 100% of the time, and it's real gnarly. Infused Maelstrom bow. If you don't have a Maelstrom bow, that's fine. Try and run like a deadly bow, or if you're gonna run Hundings, run a Hundings bow, like like a set bow. Don't need Maelstrom bow. It drops in veteran Maelstrom, and not everyone can get it. Okay if you don't have it. But yeah, you're gonna want to run an infused bow. If you have a Maelstrom bow, run that with a weapon damage enchant. So that's all the gear. So now let's get into so as far as my stats go, you can see all this stuff's pretty standard. I'm in Dubious right now. I'm a vampire. We're using Lover Mundus. Don't have to use Dubious. So they nerfed Dubious this patch. This on the PTS they nerfed it. So it doesn't give you as many max stats, so your max health and max stamina's a little lower. It's still above 30k. It's still within reason. You can use buy stat food if you want. I like the recovery from Dubious even after they nerfed it. I'll probably run this. If you're in like a super like a super high level group, and you're getting a ton of synergies and you don't feel like you need Dubious, don't run Dubious. You can run buy stat food. You can run blue food. But yeah, you can see we have this is unbuffed. This is just standing still. 9 that magic's actually a little low. 9,000 magicka. But I'm an orc, so I have about 16.5k health. This would be a little lower if you were on a different race that didn't give you max health. And then my stamina is like right at 30k. We run like 1200 or stamina recovery. Our weapon damage is 3900 self buffed, and our weapon crit is 52. It's 52 without the pot. And our bow bar is like 54. All right. Alrighty. So now let's go over CP. So for CP for this, I might tweak this a little bit, but I kind of like this. So 64 in Thaumaturge, 61 precise strikes, 27 piercing, 64 mighty, 11 in physical weapon expert, and 48 master arms. This is fairly similar to the setup I run on the live server now on my StamDK. You can sort of, so depending on how much penetration your group has, so every boss in this game, every raid boss in this game has 18,200 resistance, spell resistance, and physical resistance. So what you can do is you want to debuff the boss's physical and spell pen to the point where you get as close to them having 0 resistance as possible, because they start taking true damage, and it makes your damage significantly higher. And high-end raid groups, you won't have to provide as much of your own physical penetration. So that's why I'm only running 27. If you want to shift these around and maybe run more in piercing, if your group is a newer group or inexperienced group, you don't have as much physical pen. Like maybe you're not running Alkosh, or maybe your tank has trouble keeping like major fracture up. So, for whatever reason, put more points in piercing. It's just gonna be you want to kind of tailor that piercing amount to what you're getting from the group. 27 is a pretty comfortable amount to run though. But then red CP, obviously you're gonna set this up for whatever content you're running. This is all like defensive stuff. And then this, I'm gonna run. You can move these points, so you can move these points around. Warlord and like sprinters. These are, since I'm on the PTS, I haven't set these. I also change these for whatever content I'm running. Like if I'm gonna have a bunch of CCs, like my CP, my green tree and my red tree CP are gonna be significantly different. Like if I'm going and doing like veteran halls of fabrication, My CP is going to be different than if I'm going to do like Valerial in like or Therian Archive. Like it's a it's a stack and burn. It's a tank and spank. So, but what I will always be running is 75 tenacity and 75 mooncalf. That never changes. So if you take anything from the screen tree, take these two. 75 tenacity, 75 mooncalf. I never change that. Again, this tree here will change. I'll change stuff around. Like if I need to roll dodge more, like I'll run more in tumbling when I do like Veteran Sanctum Ophidia. And I'm on Manny Cora because I'm like moving around. And I'm roll dodging a lot. But yeah, like you're gonna this tree here, the shadow, and this tree here, it's gonna change depending on what content you're running. All right, cool. And then we don't run any here, obviously. We don't run any here, obviously. And then we don't, and then it's 11 physical weapon expert, 48 mastered arms, 64 thumb, 56 precise strikes, 27 piercing, and 60. Okay, cool. So, as far as rotation goes for this, I will go over that, and then I will show you guys a parse from last night. It's all fancy schmancy. It has music over top of it. All right, cool. So, and we'll go over skills here. Actually, we'll go over skills first, and then we'll go over rotation. So, some things are changing. This is the PTS, but so things have changed. The live server, your StamDK on a live server right now versus your StamDK on the PTS right now are going to look so totally different. So, as far as skills go and rotations. So the rotation that I found that I like the most is, so we're going to use Venomous Claw, super nice dot. They changed this so it's no longer spammable. So this used to be this and this, running slashes. One of these two used to be the two spammables. They're currently on the live server are the two spammables, right? So what you could do is if you look at this tooltip, break an enemy with your claw, dealing 4,900 poison damage and an additional 16,500 poison damage, 16,570 poison damage over 10 seconds. And the longer you keep this dot up, the more damage it actually does. So it deals 12% more damage every 2 seconds. So what you could do on the live server is you could use it as a spammable. So you could do something like this. Like I'll show you what that kind of looked like. You could do this. You could do like a rotation like this, right? And then you could do this, and then you do this. Then you go 1, 2, 3, right? And then weapon swap, right? Right, you can do that. You can't do that anymore. Now, if you spam this like this, the dot like won't tick. Like it won't effectively tick. Like, if you spam it like that, so you see it's ticking, but it's not. Like you can see now it's not actually ticking at all. Like there's no damage. There's doing physical damage, but it's not doing any dot damage. Like you see, we'll wait and it'll tick. You see? There's like a 2-second delay. So you can't spam that anymore, and you cannot spam running slashes anymore. This ability, you can't spam that either, right? So we had to find a new spammable. So what this rotation looks like is this rotation is actually gonna be, it's actually gonna be using Noxious Breath as a spammable, because what they did this patch of the PTS is, do you see where this says target and it says enemy? This is single target. It's a single target dot, right? So what they did with the PTS and what they're doing with Elsweyr is they're making all these single target dots. So if you if you initially apply the dot, what'll happen is the dot, there's a 2-second delay, and then the dot applies. You get the initial physical damage, and then it's like 1.5 or 2 seconds after you apply the initial hit, the dot will occur. In between that 1 second or 1.5 seconds, if you use that ability again, the dot will refresh. It won't actually apply. You can spam this all day. You'll never get a dot. You'll get the 4,000 physical damage. You'll never get the dot unless you wait that like half a second or whatever. So you can't use it as a spammable anymore. But do you see where it says enemy? That's single target dots. This, not. It's an AoE. But it's a dot. So you can spam it because it's an AoE. Now, they could change this and give it the same treatment this got, although I don't think they will. And the reason I say that is because this two-handed ability here, they just buffed it. This, Harv, it's a cone, right? They just buffed this. It does a ton of damage now. And they buffed this just like they buffed Noxious Breath. They gave Noxious Breath like a 200% damage increase. So my thinking, and some other friends of mine, their thinking is they just buffed this and they changed it. And they also gave Necromancer like a scythe ability that does something similar to this. So if they changed Noxus Breath, they would have to justify it by going, theoretically, by going back and changing. Like if they changed Noxus Breath and added like a rule set to this, then it would have to add that rule set to this. And they'd have to add that rule set to Scythe. And there's a whole bunch of other abilities that use that same like rule set. So we're under the impression that they won't change it. They could. They could do whatever they want. I don't think they'll actually change it. I think you will be able to use it as a spammable. I feel like they might tone down the damage just a smidge because they buffed it. And they might bring it down, the buff a little bit. But yeah, so we're using this as spammable. So let's go through the rest of these skills. So Venomous Claw is your single target dot. It's a real good dot. Rending Slashes. Again, it's another dot. You don't want these dots to go down. Deals physical damage, bleed damage. This one's gonna deal poison damage. And then we're gonna have Rearming Trap. Rearming Trap is really nice. Rearming Trap gives us Minor Force. Minor Force is super important and increase our critical damage by 10%. What's really cool about Rearming Trap is you put the trap down and it bursts. And it gives you minor force, and then it bursts again. You don't actually have to reapply it until the second time it arms. So if you see that, it says it lasts 1 minute, and it triggers, and then it deals physical damage. And when it triggers, it immobilizes the enemy, gives you 6 seconds or gives you minor force for 6 seconds, and then it'll trigger. And after being triggered, the trap resets. It can be triggered again. So what happens is it'll trigger. And then you have your 6 seconds, and then it'll trigger again. So you actually only have to use this, like this. Basically, what'll happen is this will run out while you're on your back bar, and it'll rearm itself. And then when you come back around, you refresh it. It's super nice. It does pretty good physical damage. All right, Noxious Breath is going to be our spammable. Super nice. Does poison damage. It's actually an AOE, so it's an AOE spammable, which is super strong. It also deals major fracture. Which is super nice, although the tank provides that. This will be nice as a spammable because what happens is it afflicts enemy with major fracture and it reduces their physical resist by 5200 as an AoE, so it's an AoE fracture. So what happens is if you have like if you go into a piece of content and you have a real gnarly like AoE fight, you have one of your group members use this and it's so nice. Noxious Breath is super nice in AoE fights, and it's also really good single targets. So I know this is the black sheep in the room. So whip. We have Molten Whip on our bar. We actually have Molten Whip on our back bar too. So this is interesting. This is one of the changes from this PTS patch. This is cool. So while slotted, whenever you activate a different Ardent Flame ability being Noxious Breath or Venomous Claw, like if you look at this, any of these abilities, or Flames of Oblivion, which is why it's on our back bar. We'll get there in a second. So while slotted, whenever you activate a different Ardent Flame ability, you gain a stack of Seething Fury, which increases the damage of your next Molten Whip by 33%, and this part's important, and your weapon and spell damage by 125 for 5 seconds. This effect can stack up to 3 times, and it doesn't have a cooldown. So the reason we have that slotted there is because this gives us a stack, and this gives us a stack, and it's our spammable. And then this being on our back bar and this being slotted here means when we activate this on our back bar, it keeps our stacks up. So with this double bar, you can actually, last night we were testing this and it never really dropped below like 89. It was like between like 89 and 97% uptime on 375 weapon damage. It's so huge. I know it's weird and it sucks that you have to double bar this. We're lucky enough that I know a lot of people used to run a Fighter's Guild skill here. I'm going to tell you right now, the Fighter's Guild skills, that's what I used to either put Vigor there or Fighter's Guild skill, because this passive gives you 3% weapon damage for each Fighter's Guild ability slotted. So what we would do is we would slot like this here. By the way, I'm not using rapids in this build. I'm using Endless Hail. I was messing around with something last. So we kind of messed around with this last night. So Fighter's Guild gives you 3% weapon damage, right? So if I put this here, I get 3% weapon damage, but it's only like 85 weapon damage. and this is like 300, and even just the one stack is 125. Like, it's better. So you're actually, it's a net gain. It's a magnificent, huge net gain to run Molten on your back bar and your front bar versus running a Fighter's Guild ability. You're getting so much more weapon damage out of it. It's crazy. And you'll see it in a second. So yeah, so that's why we have Whip there. We never use this ability. It's just there to passively give us weapon damage. It gives us a ton of weapon damage. And then I run Flawless Dawnbreaker on the end here. I don't really ever use this. Again, it's passive. It gives me 5% extra weapon damage. Gives me 5% extra weapon damage. Plus the extra 3% for running, because you get 3% from this, and you get 3% from this. You get an extra 6%. I don't ever really use this. The only time I ever use this is if, like if I'm in a trash fight, and I get in a pickle and I'm about to die, I can not only do a ton of damage, but I'll get back health and resources when I cast this because I'm a Dragonknight. Other than that, I don't really ever use it. Also, like if you're in a boss fight and you need to kill something in a hurry and the boss has like 100k health, you can drop one of these. Just a real quick burst and hit them. But I generally just, it's their passive. It's there for the passive weapon damage. Cool. So back bar is pretty standard. It's Endless Hail. Endless Hail, this is really, really important to keep up because it's going to proc our back bar enchant for our Berserker enchant or Weapon damage enchant. It's super important to keep this. Caltrops. Caltrops is really nice. It's super nice cleave as far as AoE goes and AoE fights, like trash fights. Poison Injection. Poison Injection is another really strong ability. This is an execute. Damage over time deals 260% more damage to enemies under 50% health. So it's super important to keep this up, but it's very, very important to keep this up when a boss is under 50% health. Flames of Oblivion. So the reason we run this on our back bar, it gives us major savagery, which increases our weapon crit, which is really nice, but it also, it's an Ardent Flame ability. So we activate this every rotation. Every single rotation, because it's going to keep up our stacks of Seething Fury. It's super important. All right, so as far as rotation goes for this, and then we run Standard Might. You know, that's what you use that on cooldown. I mean, it's everyone uses Standard Might. Super nice. Does a ton of damage. Does a ton of damage. It increases your damage done. Provides a synergy. Provides file. It's super nice. It is the go-to ultimate for a Stamina Dragonknight. All right, cool. So as far as rotation goes, super easy rotation. It's not difficult. It's static. So I'll go through this slow. So it's in the order that the skills are down there. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna start the fight off with a Dragonknight standard. So actually, no, I'm sorry. You want a pre-buff. So what I do is what I'll do is I'll do my Flames of Oblivion, and then my potion, and then I drop my trap, and then it's Endless Hail, light attack, Caltrops, light attack, Poison Injection, light attack, Flames of Oblivion, light attack, standard, and then it's Claw, light attack, Rending Slashes, light attack, Trap, light attack, Noxious Breath, light attack, Noxious Breath, light attack, Noxious Breath, light attack, bar swap. And that's it. Just like that. Just like that. Super easy rotation. Now, what I highly recommend you do, so I'll do it slow, so it's going to be Venomous Claw, light attack, just like that. And then it's Rending Slashes, light attack. And then it's Trap, light attack. And then it's Noxious Breath, light attack, Noxious Breath, light attack, Noxious Breath, light attack, bar swap. Now, what I recommend you do is do not light attack before this Endless Hail, light attack after it. So what happens sometimes, and some people might disagree with me, is if you light attack going into this Endless Hail, you'll bug it. So you'll end up bugging the cast of that. It happens to me. You're more than welcome to comment in the YouTube comments below. Comment, send me a message if it doesn't bug for you. It bugs for me. I skip that light attack. I always have. It's just it breaks it for some reason. But yeah, you can if you want. I don't light attack there, so I do light attack, Caltrops, like light attack, Poison Injection, light attack, Flames of Oblivion. It's very, very important you don't miss this Flames of Oblivion because it's going to keep up our stacks on our Seething Fury. So I'll show you what that looks like. So this is really cool. So let's let all these run out, and then I'll show you my character screen, and I'll show you what it does to our weapon damage. It's really wild. So you can see right now we have like 3,900 weapon damage. I think we have another buff up. Nope. All right. So we have 3,900 weapon damage, right? And that's just standing still. So what we're going to do is, let's just stand over here. We don't need to attack this so I can show you this. So, well, I guess we can. So what we're going to do is we're going to, oh, I'll show you. So we're going to cast this. So you see we have 4,200 weapon damage. So we'll cast it again. Now we have, oh, hold on. So we'll cast it again. 5 seconds. So it's 4,400 weapon damage. So we'll cast it again. Let's just cast it 3 times. So I can show you. 1, 2. So yeah, 44. Tops out of 44, right? Tops out of 44. That's without a potion. So if I activate a potion, I'll cast it 3 times. 1, 2, 3. 5,100 weapon damage. That's self-buffed with a potion. That's crazy. It's crazy. That is nuts. So you're dealing with 5,100 weapon damage before any buffs are applied to it. That is crazy. I think I got mine self-buff in the parse I'm going to show you. I think I got mine up to like 5,300. It was like 56 max. It's self-buff. That's nuts. And so what's cool about this is you're going to see I'm going to cast this and it's going to give me a stack. And then I'm going to go in the back bar. I'm going to cast this. Or I was in the back bar. Look, the stacks don't actually drop off. So actually, I was on my back bar. So why don't we do this? How high can I actually get this? Hold on. The 51? It's 40. Yeah, it was 40. Yeah, it's 44. Okay, cool. So I was on my front bar. I got confused there. So yeah. So what's cool is, so I cast this on my front bar and I give myself a stack, and I cast this on my back bar, and it keeps stacking. Like, you don't lose stacks when you bar swap. So it's dynamic, or it's not dynamic, it's intuitive. It's really neat. So, like I said, getting 3 stacks on your front bar of Seething Fury like this, and then swapping your back bar, and then using this, it refreshes the stacks. Like, it's super nice. That's why we have Molten Whip on the ends of our front bar. You don't have to put it on the end, but you want to double bar it. That might change the PTS. Like I said, they might change it. I would love for them to make it so like you don't have to have a double bar, but it's okay for now. We have that spot. I used to put Vigor there. I won't put Vigor there now. But that's the rotation. I don't think there was anything I missed. It's basically just Venomous Coal light attack, Branding Slashes light attack, trap or rearming trap light attack, Noxious Breath ×3 with light attacks in between, bar swap, and then Endless Hail light attack, Caltrops light attack, Poison Injection light attack, Flames of Oblivion light attack, and that's it. Standard Might on cooldown, Potion on cooldown. So what's interesting about this, though, I'm going to tell you guys, we tested this last night, and I'm still working on this, is I'm using Deadly, which I love on a Stam DK. Thing about this is, advancing Oketa, because you have to put Flames of Oblivion on your back bar, and because you have to spend that half a second keeping it up before you go back to your front bar, I found that my stacks in advancing Oketa were falling off, like significantly falling off. Could be me, maybe I'm bad. I'm still working on it. But it seemed like we were right up against the wall as far as the 6 seconds, the 6 seconds for the stacks. Like I said, it could just be me. It's a new rotation. Maybe I have to work on it. But I actually got significantly better DPS using Deadly because it wasn't punishing me as much for spending that half a second on my back bar. Whereas advancing Oketa, if you spend that half a second on your back bar, you'll just drop stacks. Again, they're both pretty good. Advancing, I was having issues with with keeping it up. But you can use either set. I prefer Deadly. Deadly you can get at the PvP vendor here. You can buy it. You can buy it like in a guild trader. I don't have the thing. It's I don't have the thing up, but it's the town here. I think it's oh, I don't want to say Velastra. I don't want to say the wrong one. But it's the PvP. It's the 80 PvP vendor that's here. The town sells it. I honestly I can't remember that. That's okay though. Or you, like I said, you can go buy it there for AP, or you can go buy it at the at a guild trader. Like you can buy this in game. This set. We didn't really talk about this set earlier. So everyone knows what Rally does. Everyone sort of knows what Rally does. I didn't really talk about this. So Deadly was a set that they changed last patch. Deadly increases, you can see it increases your physical, bleed, poison, and disease damage over time effects you do by 14%. It's a Stam DK's wet dream. It's ridiculous. Like I said, you can buy this. You can buy this at Guild Traders. The weapons I think might be a little expensive. The rings I think are pretty cheap. And then Rally, obviously, like I said, drops in Cloud Rest. When you do light and heavy attack, you apply a stack of harmful winds to your target for 5 seconds. Deals 62. What is it? 26 or 262 physical damage per stack every 1 second. It stacks 20 stacks. It's like the best, like one of the best stamina DPS sets in the game. And then this, obviously, like I said, was Velodreth. You can farm this in Cradle of Shadows. I think that's it. I think that's it, guys. I think it's time to show you guys the parse. I don't think I missed anything.
Lay me in your bed. These rattling bones, noisy in my head, but the flowers are nailed to the wall. Still bloom in my eyes, even in the fall. So keep me in your head, 'cause you're the reason mine's clear, why the anger inside of me is dead. Oh, you're why it's dead. Lay me in your bed. These rattling bones, noisy in my head. Oh, lay me in your bed. These rattling bones, noisy in my head. Oh, lay me in your bed. These rattling bones, noisy in my head. Oh, lay me in your bed. These rattling bones, noisy in my head. Oh, lay me in your bed. These rattling bones, noisy in my head. Oh, pretty little thing, break on it to me. Swim your way through my veins to the blue that helps me see. Oh, pretty little thing, break on it to me. Swim your way through my veins to the blue that helps me see. Oh, lay me in your bed.
This rotation's pretty cool. Like I said, this is the PTS is subject to change. I don't expect them to change Noxious Breath, at least the way it functions. They might turn down the damage a little bit since you're using it as a spammable, but I don't expect them to nerf it. Not nerf it in the sense that they'll change it, like the way it operates. That's it, guys. Enjoy this parse. If you like my content, feel free to like and subscribe. If you have any questions about the build, put them in the YouTube comments. And yeah, that's it. I'll see you guys next time, guys. Bye.